Hi, Steelman. Hi, everyone. Time, not tides. Why'd you put that twice, man? You didn't think I'd read the first comment? Let a few people get in here. I hope everyone's doing well. The gentleman I have backstage right now, his name is Mark, and he's starting an organization, kind of like Institute for Justice or NRA, so to speak. I'm going to bring him up here. He's going to explain it all. And I believe it's free to join and see how many Patriots we can get on this and see if it's a good idea. Hi, Claudette. Hi, Anonymous Lawn Transformations. What's up? Sixth Estate. What's up? Llama Pajamas. What's up? Hope you're all right. Juggalasses. Hi. Mr. Dr. J. What's up, Dr. J? Joseph Buklowski. Disabled Outcast. Let's Otvo. All right, let's get it started. I'm going to bring up Mark from the TAC organization. Hi, Mark.
Hey, how you doing there, John?
I'm doing well. How are you, sir?
Very good. Thank you very much for inviting me. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on. You called and I guess interviewed me. We had a long conversation about constitutional rights and what your mission is. And I guess let me tell me a little bit about yourself first.
Sure, yeah. My background is in journalism, photojournalism specifically. First half of my career, I worked in photojournalism with the Philadelphia Inquirer Daily Bulletin, did my internship at the Bucks County Carrier Times. I moved to television, broadcast television, did directing, producing, eventually for a major network, fourth largest network in the United States. And then I moved into filmmaking, which is what my degree is actually in. I have a degree in journalism and in filmmaking. I worked as a film commissioner, what they would call a film liaison. Uh, you know, basically what you do is you promote films into the state. I worked for the state of New Mexico during that time. Worked on things like Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, and a lot of other
What'd
Coen
you do?
Brothers
What'd you do
films.
on Breaking Bad?
A film commissioner, film liaison, they would film in our area, and we would find them locations basically, and as
Okay.
well as labor, people in the
Okay.
film industry.
And what got you into? Have you always been a constitutionalist? Was
Yeah,
there?
towards the later part of my career, I kind of saw you guys popping up on the internet. By you guys, I mean, cop watching, auditing, alternative journalism, the Fifth Estate. I
Sure.
saw that a lot of people were getting hassled. And as a photojournalist, I did it for over 20 years. I never was hassled once. And it just seemed to me that the constitutional guarantees that we have were disappearing. And there seems to be some type of underlying movement, agent provocateurs, whether they're in government or outside, that are starting to water down those constitutional guarantees, and it concerned me. So I got involved, started watching you guys, supporting you.
Thank you for that. And so now let's move into this. Is it called? What would you refer it to as an organization?
Oh, yeah. TAC is a 501c4 organization, which is basically a nonprofit, nonpartisan organization that we created. And when I say we, John, I felt like a lot of us, myself, I'm a viewer, supporter, subscriber, we're sitting there and we're sitting on our hands. I call us hand sitters. We're kind of doing nothing, not intentionally, John, but simply because there was nothing we could do other than supporting you by comments on your channels or donating some cash your way to keep you guys doing what you're doing. I'm talking about the Susan Bossies, the Philip Turners, yourself.
Can I
A
stop you
lot of
one?
the,
Can I stop you
yeah,
for 1 second? Uh, Disabled Outcast is asking how you can be reached. Do you have an email you can give to everybody?
we do. We can go to TAS, which is tas-us.org. That's
TAC,
again,
not TAC.
TAC. No, I apologize, TAC. Yeah, TAC, which represents Transparency Accountability Coalition, and that's -us.org.
And also, someone's asking, are you Mark Duran?
No, I'm not Mark Durand. I'm Mark Wark.
Okay.
Mark Wark.
All
You'll
right.
find me basically as a photojournalist, a television producer, and film liaison. As I said,
So
those are my histories and my background.
so TAC hyphen US at what's the rest?
.org.
TAC hyphen US.org.
.org. Yeah,
That's
that's
how you can
correct.
get a hold of this gentleman, and he wants to talk to you. And okay, so I cut you off there. I apologize.
No,
So
that's all right. I was just saying that who we are in terms of how we started, John, because we had talked about this, was just a group of regular people. Sure, we're journalists. Some of these journalists are very well known. We are broadcasters. We are regular people, photographers. We're supporters. There are just a lot of people that were talking in what I would consider roundtables. Roundtable would be just discussions at home, in the office, entertainment. Anytime you're out and about, there happen to be these roundtable discussions that recognize cop watchers, auditors, alternative journalists, the fifth estate, as we call it.
sure.
And so, what can we do to support them? Because what was going on just seemed to be outrageous. And we got together and said, you know what? Let's form an organization. And we have originally contacted a lot of people like yourself to see if they could promote and help us do that.
So you started a 501c4. It's called TAC, Transparency, Accountability. What's the last C stand for?
Coalition,
Transparency Accountability Coalition.
correct.
And tell us more about what that's about specifically, the structure, just go into the
Well,
specifics.
well, John, we first talked about it with you in terms of the net donations and what we want to do with the membership. So why donations and memberships? And first, let me say, I apologize if my voice is a little scruff. About a year and a half ago, maybe a little longer, I had a heart attack and it changed my voice. So if
It's
you
okay.
can hear me, let me know. But our net donations and memberships, we want to use for charitable, educational, and legal purposes, basically. And now there's a 3-mission approach for TAC. And the
Real quick,
first
real quick. I'm so sorry. It's also free to join. Let's start with that.
Sure, absolutely, it's free to join. And why we did that and didn't do it as a huge membership fee was because we felt in an early startup phase in particular that we needed to do that. And a lot of the people that are involved in the in defending our constitutional guarantees, like myself, we don't want to have to give our names. We don't want to have to, ID ourselves simply to join an organization. We just didn't feel that was right. So we designed a method and way by which you can just join and sign up to get our information from us of what we're doing nationally.
Okay, so that's the free part. Now go into the more, if people want to get more involved in what you're doing with donations. Go ahead.
Well, with the donations, the way it's lined up and the way we're looking for it is to create a national organization that is that has strength in numbers, right? So I'm going to have to get to that before we get into the other part, which is the funding. And
Sure.
Just basically, I want to get back to just those 3 approaches of what we're doing and
Mm-hmm.
why we're doing it, so people understand what that membership goes to and where and any types of funds that you might donate towards the organization go to. Again, it's all about strength in numbers. Right now, you guys, by that I mean those of you that are champions of free speech, the auditors, the cop watchers, and the alternative media that's
And
out
the
there.
people who watch them.
And though that's the problem, the people that watch them, I think, want to get involved, and that's what this organization is about. It's a way to fund an organization that funds them, and we do that in 3 ways that I want to get into, and then they'll understand that. But the first purpose is to challenge the infringement on personal liberty of our constitutional guarantees. And what we plan on doing is forming 11 zones or demographic zones that match the demographic zones of the appellate courts or the 11th Circuit courts, so that we can defend constitutional guarantees in all 11 circuits, right? So that instead of just Philip Turner being, challenged in just one state, we want to challenge them, or one district, we want to challenge them in every district. We want to find cases that would defend all of us and our constitutional guarantees in all 11 of those districts. And the way we do that is by setting up a organization where there's 11 divisions in those particular circuits, right? And we're going to have 3 representatives in each of those circuits. We'll also have counsel, legal counsel, that will work with us in those circuits, because as you know, rule of law is very jurisdictional. What Florida allows, maybe Texas doesn't allow, and vice versa. There's very specific law to defending our constitutional guarantees, and we need to know what the binding precedent is in those particular districts. And we're planning on having legal counsel in all 11 districts support us in that venue, right? The second purpose is to mobilize resources for affirmative action. And what that means is just what it says. It's peaceful protest in a timely manner. So if John gets arrested and maliciously arrested, falsely arrested, illegally detained, put in handcuffs, abducted, and thrown into incarceration, we can attack it both through the legal means with a lawyer, but we can also send our group of people to that location in numbers, strength in numbers. Remember, we're going to make sure that we can raise a protest, a peaceful protest that has significant numbers that would garner, let's say, mainstream media to
force their hand to cover what's going on.
Right, exactly. You can't do that with a few people.
And not be deliberately indifferent.
Right, and you can't do that with a few people. You really need a lot of people to do it, right?
Sure, of course.
And that's what we think. Now, the third purpose, there's 3 divisions, 3 sections, 3 ways that we want to empower this, is the pro se jurisprudence, right? The benefit of a majority recognized by their precarity. Precarity is a precarious way of living. We're all living on the edge. That's what precarity means. And what we want to do is we want to be able to raise jurisprudence and empower people to handle these types of cases through pro se. Now, I want to mention 2 things on that. This has been done before. It's been very successful. And the way it was successfully done was someone by the name of Flyfinger. Yeah, the Flyfinger. He created a chat group that was beneficial to people who were trying to stop the rubber stamp prosecution within the courts of people who owe debt or may not owe debt, but they were being attacked and brought to court by junk debt buyers. These are people that buy debts for pennies on the dollar, but yet they want unjust enrichment for the full amount you owe. But they don't have any type of chain of assignment to prove they own the debt, right? But they were winning in court. So Flyfinger said that enough of this, we're going to create the type of jurisprudence for pro se so that we can teach everybody how to handle those types of cases. And now the key to that is, like us in the industry, I would even say industry in the movement, because I call it a social movement. All of us have found ourselves faced with some type of malicious prosecution in the courts. And these are not difficult. It's always the same thing. It's interference, obstruction, it's loitering. It's a lot of these laws that are unconstitutionally vague. And they're also very easy to beat in court. This is not rocket scientistry. You have people like Henry and a couple of others out there that are beating them in court. And what we want to do is share that information pro se to empower other people within the group to have a location they can go to, a website where all the resources would be available to them. But it's got to be jurisdictional, because what I tell you in terms of how I beat a particular charge in Florida isn't going to be applicable in California or in Texas. So we're going to have to attach it jurisdictionally to each one of those areas, just like they did in the junk debt buyers defense in terms of defeating them. And That's the third step. That's the whole thing. All three of those steps. One is a legal binding precedent in the courts, in all 11 circuit courts and the federal courts, appellate courts, and if we have to, the Supreme Court, which would be ideal. The second is the mobilizing resources for peaceful affirmative action, right? To make it
Mhm.
timely and reactive to the needs of what we need to do. And then the third is pro se jurisprudence.
Okay, so the idea is to get as many members as we can who believe in this stuff. Start out with your free membership, see what's going on. If you're willing and capable and have a few extra bucks, get a 1 year or 2 year membership. Right? Looks like you got a little press pass here. People can print out too.
Yeah, the press pass is my own press pass. It's a joke press pass, if you want to call it that. But basically, it says you're one of 350 million Americans that's press, and on the
Right?
back it has the laws.
Yeah.
Everyone's press.
I
It
have
does make
one.
a difference.
I have one. I made just like that for myself. It's
Yep. And if
but
you
the
notice
thing.
too,
what's
it has
funny
a
about
person.
that is,
Oh, go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. Go
Sorry.
ahead. No, go
It
ahead.
has a person's face on it, right? And the face is blank, so it could be
Right.
anybody.
Yeah, the thing is, when you when you wear a press pass and you walk in and you're just like, I'm press, they see something that looks professionally made. They literally still, it's like us, oh, he's good. It's like he's good. That's why he has a camera. That's why he's here. He's a member of the press. But you walk in there and they want to see press credentials. They don't understand that you don't need it in public.
They
So
don't. But when you guys walk into a location, and I've noticed this in my, again, if I'm offending anybody by saying you guys, because I'm one of you, I consider
yeah, yeah,
myself as a photojournalist to be one of you. As Philip Turner said, he's not an auditor, he's a journalist, he's a photojournalist.
sure.
So as you guys walk into these areas and you get harassed by it, when I was told to leave a location that was a public location, which was very rare, it happened to be in the Mummers Parade, believe it or not. A cop came up to me and actually pulled a gun on me and told me to leave. But, you know, I could force the issue and stay. I could say, basically, F off, I'm going to stay. But
Hmm.
the reason I could do that was because I had powerful influences standing behind me. You got the New York Times or the Philadelphia Inquirer and their Pulitzer Prize winning staff, and you got all their lawyers, and you have the Philadelphia Bulletin, Associated Press, UPI. I realize some of these don't exist now, but back in the day, that's what we did.
Okay. Very good. So without having to work for a huge company, you could join this, be a member. They're going to see the numbers, and if we can get enough people on board, we can start. Each district has a chapter, so to speak, and if it's big enough, you can do timely demonstrations and peaceful activism against false arrest or whatever else happens. And tell me, step two was what again? Just to
Well,
recap.
step one is the legal. We send a lawyer in immediately to get you released and make sure they don't take your work tools, which is a journalist's camera is a work tool. We'll get into that in a minute. But
Okay.
legal, number one. Number two is, as you got the screen up there, right there, protest by the thousands. We want to see a
Hmm.
huge group overwhelm them. You understand? That's
Yes.
important. Yeah, not in numbers, but it has to be timely. Has to react immediately to it.
Right.
Right. The sooner
And
the
they have to
better.
know it, and eventually they're going to know it's coming and think twice before they do something dumb on the streets.
Right. And, we're going to be prepared for it because we're going to have the money to do it.
Hmm.
That's the key. I,
Okay.
I, I mean, these people are, I can't express how much and how important it is. We'll talk about that too, about the success of the NRA. And I know there may be people out there who do not like an organization, or maybe they do, but you look to the success of their model of how they did it is what we would like to do. And we would like to do that with all of our Bill of Rights, not just the Second Amendment, which we do support, but all amendments.
And with the NRA, like I already heard one person saying that they've been responsible for passing gun laws, which is true. We're not saying we're going to be like the NRA and style ourselves. We just want an organization like that so that we have the numbers like they have. They have the money, they have the lawyers, and they've been effective, whether you like it or not, when it comes to Second Amendment issues. But they just focus on the second, and we mostly focus on the first and fourth, but regardless, they're all our inalienable rights, and we need them, and we need an NRA style. Okay, we don't mean that we're going to do the bad things the NRA did. We're going to keep it right, righteous, and constitutional.
Correct. And what you're looking at and what that model looks like, John,
Hmm.
is having individuals like you. And
Hmm.
if you'll permit me to make the announcement right now.
Yes,
You've offered to join the board. We are
I
going
will.
to have counsel, legal. We're going to have some lawyers, fairly well known. We're going to have some police. Believe it or not, there's a couple of police officers out there who are very much opposed to the police state, as well as what's going on in terms of the policing institutions, law enforcement institutions, and they're very much in defense. They would like to help us defend our constitutional guarantees. So we're not, you know, leaving them out. They'll be there, but there'll be a lot of individuals like yourself, a lot of photojournalists, journalists. We were just reaching out to everyone that we can in the beginning to start this and have on the board. There'll be 12 board members, and they'll vote on these cases that we want to bring before the courts, and we'll spend our money, a lot of it, on that. The individuals that are working on the board, just so that they're aware, they're not going to get rich off this, John. We're going to probably provide you a $1,500 stipend monthly just to join us and discuss these issues, which is, it's barely going to cover your costs. And if there's travel for you to do in your area to visit some of these districts where we have challenges in the district courts, then we're going to give you another $1,500 for travel expenses. So we're talking about maybe $3,000 a month, which is like nothing. You're going to spend more than that probably, or maybe break even. There's nobody here
That's 4
getting
times
rich who would
more than
love
I
to
make
help.
now.
We want people just to understand where that money's going, and we want to be held accountable and be very transparent with it.
Sure, of course. Everything's going to be wide open. There's no reason to hide because we're in the right. And, we don't need to lie. We don't need to hide, right?
Right. But if we put all of our pennies in one bucket, we're going to be
Hmm.
able to be competitive and start to take down some of these laws. Up on the screen, you've got the legal precedents, the affirmative action, and the empowerment of pro se, and that's what we're about. That's it. Those three things. We can't um, we can't take everybody's case as much as we would love to, right?
Yeah,
But we
of
have
course.
another means of doing it, which is the pro se mission. And that allows people to go to a location, and there'll be resources there, and they'll be able to stand up in the court of law and fight their case. Now, should they lose their case in a kangaroo court, then take it to next step. Look at number one as a mission. Present it to the board, and we'll vote on it. We'll try and get you some help because you've already lost in the lower courts, and we'll appeal in the higher courts, in the district court.
So the only thing left to do really is join for free and then decide whether you think this is a good cause, because I think it's a good cause. Well, I mean, we definitely need something like this for constitutionalists. That there's no representation for constitutionalists anywhere that I know of. Do you?
No, there's not. We reached out to many of you, John, and it was people like yourself that helped us determine that we need to do this. We need to come forward. We, as your subscribers, your supporters, your viewers,
Hmm.
we need to say this in reality is a social movement. And if it's that, then let's move to the next step. You have something called emergence in social movement theory. And emergence is what cop watching is. It's what auditing is. You guys did a brilliant job in emerging as a group, but now coalescence. That's the next step in social movement theory. That's the next step. You guys need to get together with us and form an organization which has strength in numbers, and where we can become more active to help you out. So I'm not a hand sitter. I was the guy who watched your videos, John, and sat at home. And in my retirement, I started to watch quite a few of them. And all I did was just, sat on my hands and watched. I didn't really do much. As you know, I showed up in Clearwater for the first time with you when you guys were in Clearwater, because I happened to be in that area and live in that area, and got active. And that's what we need. That's what we're asking from everybody, is to show up and start getting involved.
Okay. All right. So there you go, guys. Let's see. Let me go to the join tab here. Now, how do you join for free? How do you do that? Do you have to click
Go
on
to the I think it's in the check about, where the keys, these are new, John. We haven't hit join up there in the tab on the right. and then go down and see where the membership tab is. I apologize. These are temporary websites.
That's okay. We're just starting, right?
Yep. Click on the free. See if that goes there, because I do apologize. That's probably why it isn't.
This?
Yeah, it's not working. Okay.
Well, you got to fix that. It's okay.
We'll fix it. Go back up though, just for one look, because I do know it's on that website. Go to the home page.
Okay.
Yeah, not there. Try you tried the about contact. Hit contact on the about. Do you see the drop down? Go up and then hit contact. There it is. We need to fix that. It needs to be in the join page as well. So we'll do that. Again, I apologize, but these are new, and the page is just a temporary. We have a website designer working on a new website so that it's more functional. So again, I apologize for this being difficult. But go to the about, click on the contact, and then you can just put in what you want. So you could put a fake name in there if you want to.
Well, okay, so I'm joined right there, basically.
You're joined, and I just received it already in the.
And you're gonna make
Gmail.
This a little easier than this, right?
Oh yeah, we have to fix that. There should be an easy join, because right now, John, there's no way for you to donate, right?
Oh, I guess
Those are
not.
the demographic zones, the 11 demographic zones that we're talking about, right?
Okay.
And those match the
11.
geographic boundaries of the 11 circuit courts.
And these coincide with the circuit courts, you're saying?
That is correct.
Like this is all the 10 circuit courts, and this is all the 9th circuit.
Correct.
And I know we're the 11th circuit. Okay. Okay.
And we're looking for 3 volunteers from every circuit to work with us. And obviously, they'll get a bit of a donation that they can spend any way they want in their district, in their area, and we'll support them financially through the national organization. And they'll make the decisions for themselves of what they're going to do in their district.
Okay. Right on. So what else you want to say?
Well, I want to talk about just for a minute about my comment about this being a social movement, because I think that in the initial stages, what we did was what we got the journalists and the photographers and the filmmakers together, and we started to comment on the pages of auditors channels and cop watching channels and alternative journals channels, and I think that we got a little bit of a pushback from some of them, not necessarily the people commenting, but the content creators, and I think that was because we kind of scared them when we say a social movement, an organization, right?
Why?
I think some people think it's radical. It's, illegal in that sense, or maybe it's wrong, and there was a pushback. But I want to address that for a minute and say that we need to get the word out there, and we need to address it, because a call to action has to be made. People need to get involved if we're going to actually create the type of influence that we need, right? And that influence is also a part of using the media to promote the justness of our cause, right? Because it's an obvious cause. Who would be against rights other than maybe the anti-right apostles, the people who call the civil rights members frauditors, but not too many people are against the idea of civil rights.
Most of them people live in Canada, by the way, so who cares?
Right. And we can use, for example, the idea that throughout history we've had these types of movements, and they've been very successful. If you consider the women's suffrage movement, right, the labor movement, and even the civil rights movement of the 60s, but they all require everybody. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to make a joke. Go ahead.
They all require us to come together, right? And we can't have, maybe I don't like the individual over here and I don't agree with what he's saying, but we're going to put our differences aside, step forward, and come together to create something special, right? To get something done.
Yes, that's the idea. If we become a big enough force, we want it to be in the back of their mind that TAC members might show up as hopefully this guy's not a member of TAC, or even have him be like, are you a member of TAC? Like, so they already know, and it's in the back of their head that they mess around, they're going to find out, right?
Right. That's why we chose TAC. That's why we have a TAC, is because you use it as a push pin to go on a board of your next mission, but it's also tact, as in tactician. We want to make sure people keep this in their mind that when they're thinking about it and doing it. But we also don't want to take anything away from people like yourself, John. You guys have been heroes coming forward, doing what you're doing, and truly, we do give you guys a lot of respect. Some of you we don't agree with fully, and I won't
Hmm.
mention names on on here because I don't think
Nah.
it's productive. But I will say that even the ones we disagree with, we need to support, right? We need to
Yeah.
make sure that they're included and that 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 they're getting support from us, when they need it.
Now let's say, let me see if I can think of some examples. One of your members gets falsely arrested. So what do you do? Send out a mass email or a mass text or something saying so and so has been falsely arrested. Here's the police station if you want to peaceably assemble. How does that work? Like, give me some logistics.
Logistically, we have people in place, and we hope to have more.
Hmm.
So right off the bat, the first thing that needs to be done is to get people over there for a peaceful protest. Um, and they need to, under the ADA, I'm sorry, I was reading the question. Will this include constitutional rights under the ADA? Absolutely, it does. I reached out to Blind Audits, I think it is. What's the guy's name?
Blind justice.
Maybe it's Blind Justice. He's one of the people who was supportive in what we're doing, but I haven't heard back yet from him.
This
So I
gentleman,
will.
disabled outcast here. Have you ever heard the term copsplaining?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's him. That he created that term, and then I made it go viral in one of my big videos. But I
Use it
got
all the
it.
time.
I stole it from him.
We use it all the time. But with
Yep.
your ADA, absolutely. ADA needs to be addressed. It's a huge issue. So, yeah, that's part of it.
He's the big ADA advocate now, and
Yeah,
yes,
but we need it.
this is another thing here. Ammon Bundy, the Bundy Ranch showdown that happened over there in Nevada.
Yep. Very familiar with it. Yep.
He created something like this, but not to the degree you're talking about. And they did actually go to a hospital one day when they wouldn't let a newborn baby go home with their mother. They showed up in force, like you're saying, and they released the baby just from that public pressure.
Yep, you were saying, how would we do that? Well, public pressure is the first part of it, and these are not unknown to us. This has been happening in social movements for years. You have a process, you have a plan. It's very organized, and the structure of that is well known, and they call that social movement theory, right? And the first step is to get affirmative action people, boots on the ground, get them out there doing it. But also at that same time, you've got to work all the other venues, all the other avenues of resources, which includes legal. Get legal involved and get somebody contacting them right away to defend the individual that was arrested. And then the third, obviously, is pro se, right? That individual has that option that once they're out to fight this pro se, or maybe we take it on.
No, now
We
pro se scares the hell out of me, and I'm a confident guy. So you're
I've
saying
done a lot pro se.
it's not as scary as it seems, right?
Not at all. I've been in court pro se, and I've won against teams of lawyers from corporations. It's not as scary as it is. The difficulty is accepting the fact that you're going to lose sometimes. You're not going to win,
Sure.
particularly with pro se. You're going to lose, and that's fine. You can always hire a lawyer afterwards and take it on appeal. And I know there's lawyers out there that will say, well, you might screw the whole thing up because you're not a lawyer. So we can appeal. We don't have the goods, the precedent, the binding precedent to appeal. I just disagree with that. This is not rocket science. You can follow a simple plan of steps, 1, 2, 3, ABC, and you really can't screw it up. You really can't. And eventually, like the junk debt buyers industry, where they defeated them, you're going to start to see more and more of us winning cases. And that's the idea, to get more pro se before the courts, to get as many as we can, overwhelm the courts with pro se and fighting them using the same binding precedent. And you know as well as I do that 99% and maybe more of these junk cases, these malicious arrests, usually are overturned in the appellate courts. I mean, that's the idea. That's the whole idea of our legal system. You may beat the rap, but not the ride. We need
Mhm.
to fix that. They know you're going to beat the rap, but they're still doing it because they want to prosecute you and punish you with a ride. And that has to stop. That's not constitutional. That is illegal and unlawful.
Another thing about the courts is that most people walk in there and they just get sheared like sheep. But if you get someone in there like me and I take 6 hours of their time, they're never going to want to see me ever again because it's not worth it to them to get a $400 fine to spend 6 hours in a courtroom and me taking my time and cross-examining everybody and just if they can they want that volume they want to keep, and if you keep throwing a wrench in their gears, they're going to be like, all right, man, enough with the petty BS, man, only bring me real solid cases because it's not worth it for us to have another TAC member or whatever come in here and just take 6 hours of our time and make us look dumb and especially publish it online.
And let's not forget this. I come from a background of journalists that have won Pulitzer Prizes. My father for Action Line in Detroit,
Mm-hmm.
my stepmother for the Philadelphia Inquirer, several Pulitzer Prizes. I have a sister-in-law who just won a Pulitzer Prize. My brother was up for a Pulitzer Prize. I have a family, and I'm not bragging, I'm trying to state the facts, that is mainstream media. I have contacts in mainstream media, and those contacts, like you, many of you out there listening and watching this, probably have far more contacts in the mainstream media or media and alternative media than I have. But you and I, by getting together, can force the issue in the media and get them to respond. So if that individual is in court and they're maliciously charged, falsely arrested, illegally detained, we need the press there to view what's happening in court, to be able to report on that, to make sure that the Justin Pullemans don't happen again. And that's what we need. I mean, the poor guy got dragged through the ringer and is still being dragged through the ringer, and the media is not supporting him the way
No,
it should on
no.
his case in particular. And there's a lot of cases out there like that. We just need positive press for us. That's part of the issue when you go to court.
Okay. All right, what else?
Not really much else. I just need a lot of people out there to support us. It's slow going, but
All right, guys.
I was part of labor movement US back 10 years ago, a full decade ago, and it was slow moving. And before the labor movement US got going, and it ended up with 1 million people joining that organization, and I was a founding member of that. I don't know what it's doing now because I'm not involved in that organization anymore, but I understand it no longer has the members that it had at one time. I think there might be like 10,000 members or something. I mean, it's very, very low. But that's part of the issue too about organizations. They tend to wean, and using the NRA model, it doesn't wean. Theirs is strong because there's always some type of infringement against the Second Amendment where they're needed. And I think that the First Amendment, Fourth Amendment is something that's needed. You'll notice that if you go to our page, and you had the page up a minute ago, you notice that comment I said about Douglas, and I think it might be back at the back of the page, which was Supreme Court Douglas used to have a comment that he was very much against the watering down of our constitutional guarantees. And he said so in a lot of court cases, including as a dissenting judge of Terry v. Ohio. He thought it was a very bad law. I happen to agree with that. And he says there's a lot of individuals in the courts today who want to water down those constitutional guarantees. And like Douglas, I think we need to push back against that. And it isn't something that's just today and gone tomorrow. It doesn't wean. It has to be constant, as you say it. And I think it was you that said it. If we don't use it, we lose it, right? Or some of the other auditors have said that.
Yeah, your rights are like muscles, exactly. So here, tac-us.org, you go to the about, you hit the contact, you tell them you want to be a member, and you're a member. And then from there, you decide if it's worthwhile to throw, $30 a year, you spend that on, me and my wife go to McDonald's, it's $30, honestly.
Right. And when you become a member, John, you're going to have access deeper inside inside the organization. Meaning, if I'm, say, sitting down in Texas, and I think that's the Fifth Circuit, you're going to get information about cases that apply to you in your area. You're going to get resources. You're going to get people. You're going to get a chat room. You're going to have actual contact with other individuals that you'll be able to get together to coordinate affirmative actions as well as legal needs. And that's key to it. That's really the key to it. And then the national board will be there to help you if you need to go further. If you lose in a kangaroo court, you come to us with your problem, and we'll take it on. Now, there may be some cases that we feel we can create binding precedent without you coming to us, because we'll be aware of it. We'll be watching what's going on and involved in what's going on. So some cases may jump ahead of others simply because they're a case that maybe legal counsel feels they can win right away, and that it's dependent on us to do so and take that stand and get it into the courts immediately. File.
Okay. All right, Mr. Mark. I think that covers it. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I appreciate you having me on. I hope to talk with other other members and other people that are content creators out there. We've reached out to them, but some of the larger ones, they're very, very busy. They probably don't even know our emails even there.
Yeah.
And we'll just keep trying to see what we can do. It's a small organization right now. It's just started. It takes time to grow. So we understand that. We don't.
Like I tell everybody, our rights were taken away incrementally, and we're gonna have to get them back incrementally. There's no silver bullet to any of this stuff.
Right. Exactly. But think of it. It doesn't take much. We talked about it in the NRA. They have 5 million members who donate about $50, $45 a month. That's $200 million a year. They're one of the largest lobbyists in the United States. They're second behind, oh God, I can't think of the lobby right now. The Chamber of Commerce. Chamber of Commerce, number one in lobbying. And so when you're that large, you can affect law, right? That's what we want to do. Will we get as large as the NRA? I don't know. I really don't.
Hopefully,
but if you donate, if we donate just $1 each, and we have a million of us donating $1 each, we have $1 million budget. Do you realize how much we can do on $1 million budget? Hell, do you realize how much we could do on $100,000 budget?
No.
It takes a lot to organize these types of things, and it takes a lot of money. Right now, we're in the hole. You're looking at the one person who funded this organization right up to date.
I know. I believe it.
A lot of money to do that.
And you got to be serious about what you're doing, to go through all this website, to go through all this details and this 3-part plan, and just to take on this. This is a giant boulder, and we're going to be pushing it uphill. But the thing is, one person pushing the boulder is one thing, 100 pushing it's another, and thousands pushing up the boulder. We can almost throw it up the hill.
Exactly. And the other thing too is that we don't want this to be a mark organization, right? So if anyone who fears that, once we get these individuals in place, it's going to be people like John, like you, John. They're going to be making the decisions on what the missions are. The missions are fluid. You may look at the 3 missions that we have now, and a year from now, they may have changed dramatically to something completely different, because the group decides on what those missions are and how we're going to accomplish that.
Is that a voting thing, or is it we just talk it out and come to an agreement? How does that work?
Absolutely a voting thing. Those district areas, they're going to make a vote, and they're going to decide on it. We're going to decide on it, and every member who's a member can vote on it, right? I mean, it's easy to put an electric vote out to everybody and let them vote.
Okay. And
even if you have agent provocateurs, John, involved in it, and even if those people are trying to gum up the works, those frauded guys or something like that, there's no way they're going to be able to match our numbers. So even with that, it's not really going to make a difference. It's a very small number of people, and analytically, they won't be able to influence the vote.
Thanks, Outvote, for the donation, man. So everybody, please get a free membership here. Go to About, hit the contact, tell them you want to be a member. You'll become a free member, and then from there you decide, is this worth it? Is this something we can all get it on the same page about, because we don't have an organization that supports what we do. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of people that don't understand it. They have their cognitive dissonance going. They still think police are heroes, even though there's thousands, tens of thousands of videos out there proving that they're trained to literally violate your rights, and they do it with a smile on their face, and they do it on camera. So who do we turn to? Because the bottom line is, in reality, once one of us gets arrested, they're on their own for the most part. What are they going to do? And that's a shitty feeling, because I felt it myself. And if it wasn't for my little bit of notoriety and Chuck Bronson and his subscribers, I could have been in jail for days, but they got me out within a few hours. So if that little bit of notoriety helped me, just imagine if we have this giant group that we could take on whole police forces, courts, all of them, to get them to the point where they're like, don't arrest any TAC members. We don't want them here unless they really do something that is a slam dunk case. None of this petty BS anymore.
Right, and we want to make sure that this organization is open to a broader, wider group of people. I think everybody in the United States can get behind supporting our First Amendment, our Fourth Amendment, our Bill of Rights. Everybody can get behind the idea that they are watering down. This is Supreme Court Justice Douglas. They are watering down our constitutional guarantees to give the police the upper hand. That's a direct quote.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I think that needs to stop. He said that in the 1960s, and they're still using Terry stops to violate rights today. And he knew they were going to use it and violate our rights with it. And he warned the courts that they were going to do that. And here we are today, violating and depriving rights under color of law today. Still today. This was the 1960s, for Christ's sakes, when he said that, when Terry v. Ohio first got passed. I think 68, and that whole concept from then till now, we're continuing to water down our constitutional guarantees to give the police the upper hand. And I think the only way to stop that is for us to come together to stop it as a group, as all of us. And it isn't just cop watchers, auditors, journalists. It's a lot of the people that are watching your videos.
American patriots in general who believe in the Constitution. I think about 10 to 15% of this country believes in the Constitution. The rest, they're watching TV, they're watching sports, they're getting high, they're getting drunk, they're looking for their next piece of ass. They don't even think about this stuff. So
that's exactly it. And the truth of it is that's a kind of an issue there, that it's a sticking point with us and why we created it. We're beginning to see a small group. It's very small. It's insignificant, but just the same, it's very dangerous and alarming. A small group of people who don't understand that they have these rights, that they don't, that they support these agent provocateurs who are, arresting people in public for public photography. Really? Here I live in Florida. We got that new 25-foot law. Yep. So what does that mean? And I'm not being ridiculous. Does that mean that I have to run from the cops to keep them 25 feet away from me?
I said if they start approaching you, you're supposed to keep kind of going, oh. You're supposed to carry a tape measure. It should be void for vagueness. It's also extremely unconstitutional. And they threw in, if the cop feels emotional distress,
right?
Or emotional distress, they passed a law to put you in jail for 60 days if a cop gets emotional by your free speech. It's ridiculous. I guarantee you all the FDLE and all the cops and all the sheriffs would, Ron DeSantis, people are recording our traffic stops and we can't steal money without being exposed.
Yeah, they need to put a stop to that here in Florida. That would be a perfect example of where TAC would spend their funds, right? That would be a good thing to start and go after, I looked it up. As of now, there's really nobody challenging that law. Not like Louisiana where it got stopped. There's nobody actually.
Not yet.
Not yet. It's not crossed the courts yet, but it will shortly.
Mark, I think that's good, man. I think you got the message out. We could do this again. We can do updates. We can, as you update the website, as you get some things going and get some examples to show people, just like anything else, it's a fresh start here. Let's see what we can do with this. Join for free. Here's how you guys do it for now. He's going to fix the join thing, okay? So you go to the About page, you hit contact, and you just send him an email saying, I want to join TAC for free, and then go from there. Good?
Absolutely. We'll get it fixed soon. Trust me. The other thing we're going to do, John, you made a recommendation that we put the counter up of how many people have joined and have it as an active counter, which we will do.
That's a good idea. Wonderful idea, sir. And I appreciate you coming on. I really do.
No problem. Thank you. Appreciate
And
it.
I'll talk to you soon, okay?
You got it. Thanks.
All right. See you later.
Bye.
All right, guys. That's Mark from Transparency and Accountability Coalition. Again, you go to this website, contact, and just put your name. You don't even have to, he said you don't even have to put your name. Just, you can remain anonymous and be a member of this. And then put it in there, do your thing, join for free. And if you got a few extra bucks, throw it his way, man. He seems like a righteous dude to me, as far as I know. And I mean, if he did all this stuff, he doesn't have to do this stuff. He could probably retire, to be honest. So he obviously cares, and he's doing something about it, and I hope it goes well. So that's that. Thanks, everybody. Much love. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for joining, all 100 of you, 104. And you guys have a good day. Freedom on. I need to get a new catchphrase. What should I say at the end of my videos? Let me know. See you. Bye.